When you discontinue watching this video, please tell me what it was so that I can improve. Otherwise, hi and welcome. I am trying to learn particle physics. Today, Majorana's mystery. And after we've done that, we're going to do standing yoga. And if you participate in the standing yoga, then it's at your own risk. Majorana's mystery. There is one possible source for nature's antimatter imbalance that no one has quite been able to get a handle on. Neutrinos. Okay, there's a matter-antimatter imbalance. There's more matter than antimatter. Basically, everything exists, there's an antimatter for it. There are protons, and there are electrons, and there are positrons, and there are protons and antiprotons. And they have the opposite charge. Now, the problem is, technically, there has to be the same amount of antimatter as matter. But there is more matter than antimatter. And they're trying to understand why, because it doesn't really make sense. And there's no idea, they're saying neutrinos. Whether they could be the culprit depends on many unknowns, not least a possibility raised by a reclusive Italian physicist 90 years ago, that neutrinos are their own antiparticles. Okay, they said it in the previous part as a little speculative idea. What if neutrinos are their own antiparticles? Maybe you're going to explain it. I don't know. Maybe they don't have a charge, and that is, I don't know. So, the legend, the LEGEND experiment aims to spot antineutrinos annihilating one another. Okay, one antineutrino annihilates another antineutrino, and at the end of the day, there's no one left. So there are no antineutrinos, but there were some. And somehow the imbalance is again in balance. Majorana had a talent for enigma. The mercurial Italian's sudden disappearance, somewhere en route from Palermo to Naples in the spring of 1938, still excites lively discussions. I don't really understand this. The particles that bear his name are no less enigmatic. Their origin lies in a seemingly innocuous modification Majorana made to Paul Dirac's equation that established the existence of antimatter in 1928. I try to understand what we mean with mercurial Italian. That could be a key thing, but maybe it means not that much. So he added something to Paul Dirac's equation. In Dirac's original formulation, only electrically charged particles had antiparticles. Majorana's tweak produced antiparticles for chargeless particles too. Indistinguishable even by their charge, such a particle and its antiparticle would be absolutely identical. Okay, Paul Dirac, we had it previously, the equation wasn't named, but Paul Dirac basically came up with this equation and that predicted the existence of antimatter. And now in this equation, Paul Dirac said that every charged particle has a particle with the opposing charge. An electron has a positron, a proton, an antiproton. But now, Majorana said that some particles with a neutral charge, probably neutrinos, are their own one. Their antiparticle would be the absolute identical one, so they would be themselves their own identical opposing part. In fact, they would be only particle embodying all the quantities of both simultaneously. Okay, it is one particle which has just the characteristics of a matter particle and an antimatter particle. It can be just both. The characteristics are to having that charge and the opposing charge. So technically, if something has neutral charge, why does it not have itself the neutral charge? I don't know. Let's read on. The idea sounds faintly absurd, but it can be tested. If a particle is its own antiparticle, then if two of them are brought together, they can annihilate. Okay, they're saying if one particle and an antiparticle are the same one, if no two ones which are the same ones, but not the same one of itself, but of another one technically probably, they would annihilate each other. And that says theorist Frank Wilczek at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. Eteri Majorana particles would eat themselves. That isn't technically unprecedented. Today's standard model of the workings of matter predicts that absolutely every particle has an antiparticle. The chargeless, massless photons, for example, is its own antiparticle, and two photons annihilate themselves on the rare occasion they interact. I don't know if I explained it something. They said something about that. So they're saying here, the idea that a particle is its own antiparticle, and if they are together, they annihilate each other. That neutrinos would do that is not completely new because photons do that. But the photon is a force-carrying boson. Seeing a matter making fermion eating itself would be another thing entirely. Okay, they're saying the photon is just a thing, it carries just something, it's just a thing. But the neutrino would be part of a fermion, so something else. It would be matter itself. It would exist, technically, to mean it, I think. And if that would itself annihilate, extinguish itself, that would be a different process than just to one thing carrying a force, which if it comes together with the same thing carrying a force, it would annihilate itself. It is something along the line which I understand that it would exist something which would itself make it de-exist. And a photon, that is something else, it just transmits a force. It's just transmitting some force. Whereas the other thing would exist and would itself de-exist itself. Whereas force is transmitted, just. So the force is technically, I don't get it. So far, we have been denied the spectacle. Okay, no one has so far seen something existing and making it de-exist. Such a fermion neutrino. The hottest tip is that neutrinos might be Majorana particles in disguise. Each of the three types of neutrino seems to have an antineutrino equivalent that participates in particle reactions very differently. Read it again. The hottest tip is that neutrinos might be Majorana particles in disguise. Each of the three types of neutrinos, so three types of neutrinos exist, seems to have an antineutrino equivalent that participates in particle reactions very differently. Okay, there are three types of neutrinos, and each of one has different interactions. They at least react differently. The three types of neutrinos have an antineutrino equivalent. Okay, if they say inside of a normal neutrino, they are inside of them, or are there three different kinds of them? And they would react differently with the three other types of neutrinos if they were the antineutrinos. But many favored routes to a unified theory of all of nature's forces suggest that this is an illusion. Neutrinos and antineutrinos might be the same thing, just seen in different states of motion, says Wilczek. Okay, they're just saying, you see one day the egg, and a month later the chick. It's technically the same. If neutrinos are indeed their own antiparticle, their workings might also account for the matter-antimatter imbalance in our universe, provided also that as yet undiscovered heavier stereo neutrinos exist. I don't get it. Okay, I think the thing is with neutrinos, the neutrinos don't exist long enough. And to have different stages, that would mean the different stage has to be found to be at the same thing, just at a different stage of it. No, that's the next page. We don't have time left. If you were here for particle physics, you can go directly to the next part of particle physics. If you stay here and participate in the standing yoga, then it's better. We're having the feet standing together and breathe in and lift the arms up. Breathe again out, the arms down. In the arms up. And out to the side. In and up. And out to the other side. In and up. And make an inch space between the feet and open again to the side. In and up. And out, we're going a bit down. In and up. Out, open to the other side. In and up. Out again down. In and up. Out the hands down and lean onto the knees. Breathe again in. And out, make a L with the back. Again in. And out, make a valley with the back. Again in. And out, a L with the back. Again in. And out, a valley. Again in. And out comes slowly with a round back up and make it the top and backwards shoulder. Now breathe in and lift the arms up. And breathe out, open again to the side. Breathe in, come up onto tiptoes. And breathe in and come out and go down. This can go into the knees. Breathe in, come higher. Even higher. And out and up again. Breathe in, reach high. And out, open to the side and go down with the heels. Breathe in again, up with the heels. And out and sink again down. Breathe in, come higher up. Come higher up and out again up. Breathe in and reach high. And out and come completely down. This can go again onto the knees. Still on tiptoes. Breathe in, come up. Out and down. In and up. And out, bring the arms over the sides down, the heels down and we're going down. Breathe in and bend the right leg. And breathe out and stretch the left leg. In, change. Out, stretch the right one. In, change. Out, stretch the left one. In and change. Out, right one. In into the middle. Out and down. Breathe in, lift the right hand up to the sky. Breathe out, bend the left knee and look over the right shoulder to the right hand. Breathe in, hand again down. Out and down. Breathe in, lift the left hand up to the sky. Breathe out, bend the right knee and look over the left shoulder to the left hand. In and down. Out and down. Make a hand with space between the feet. Shift the weight to the heels and breathe in and go down. And out and up. In and down. Out and up. One more time, in and down. Out and up. Take hold on the elbows and gently rock from side to side. Hands again down, the feet together. Breathe in, come halfway up with a straight back. Out and down. In, halfway up, straight back. Out and down. Breathe in, hands over the sides up. Hands together, hands down. Toes upon you to the outside. Leave space between the heels. Breathe in. And breathe out, bring the chin down onto the chest. And roll slowly down. Hands on the ground, and bring the elbows against the inside of the knees. Breathe in and straighten up. And breathe out and come slowly in one straight line upwards. And hands down. Bring the feet together. Breathe in, lift the arms up. And breathe out, lean back, draw the shoulder blades together. Breathe in, over, cross the arms, intertwine the fingers, breathe in, reach high. Breathe out, reach in front, hollow the back. In and up. Elbow cross the arm very long. Breathe in, reach high. Out, reach in front, hold the back. In and up. Out, lean the long arms back. In and up. Out, lean back. In and up. Out the arms down. Breathe and lift the arms up. Out and down. In and up. Bring the hands to touch and lower the hands down to heart center. That was the Yoga. I thank you very much, and at the next.